Wow, there's a lot of people joining. Good job, you guys.
Hey Zlatan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. How you doing, Jay?
Good to see your face, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. I like the background.
Trying to up the game, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, everybody. We are live here with our College Coach webinar. We're going to give it about 2 minutes as people flocking in by the hundreds. So I just give seconds here, and once we hit a little stopping, so give us about 2 minutes. And just a reminder for all of you that are panelists, please make sure that you are on mute.
Hopefully somebody gets a picture of this so I can repost it.
That's Adrian. He just left.
He's not gone.
There's been a lot of people on today. I'm really excited. It should be fun.
All right, we're going to wait another minute.
Ron, is that a virtual background or is that a real background?
That's real.
Lawnmower in the background.
Yeah, lawnmower. Can you hear that? Sorry about that. Of course,
that's
the guy mow his lawn right now.
That's the next level, you know. The virtual background comes with sound effects.
Exactly.
It's chirping.
Well, as soon as I'm done here, I'll put myself on mute. All right, we're going to wait about 30 seconds here. We still have people in.
We have a question here. Who do you mute in the chat?
All of the panelists should not be on mute. It's for all of the players and parents. You should make sure that your program is muted, which I believe it should be automatically through the system, but you never know. Still have people coming in. All right, we're going to get moving. People will be joining in. So welcome to NorCal Premier's College Coach webinar for players and parents, male soccer players. We hope that everybody is staying safe in these times. My name is Ron Benjamin, and I'll be the moderator today for tonight's girls recruiting webinar. Tomorrow night, boys webinar, 7 p.m. So we'll take care of the girls tonight and the boys. The purpose of this webinar is to help the players in the recruiting process during the COVID-19 pandemic. And we all strongly believe that there's a lot of work that can be done by you as players during this. And the college coaches are reviewing video and communicating on a daily basis with players and try to have a silver lining during this tough situation. You know, the college coaches are on hand and ready to continue the process. Just one side note, we have decided not to include the Division I and Division II coaches due to some very gray areas in the NCAA recruiting mandates. So we decided not to have them on, but we have a very talented group of coaches that will be panelists tonight. And amongst everybody on the panel, we should be able to answer almost all of your questions. Our major partner, Scout Lovely Brooke, is with us tonight to address a number of issues facing today's recruit and some good tips on how to get your name out there. If you do have any specific questions, there is a Q&A at the bottom of your screen, and you can go ahead and send us questions. There's over 250 people on the call right now, so we're probably not going to get to every question tonight, but we'll try to address as many of those as we possibly can. All right, now we'd like to introduce the panel. from Chapman University, Southern California, Division III, Calderon.
Hi, everyone.
There you go. Hold your applause, people. Hold your applause. And next up, Division III out of our good friend Paul Vasconcelos from Lesley University. How you doing,
Great.
Paul?
Thanks for having me.
And it is 10 o'clock, by the way, guys, on the East Coast. So he's doing us a big night. Next up is Zlatan Sahmanovic, Menlo College in Northern California in the NAIA. And last but certainly not least, he did win the Best Background Award. Next to me, Sierra College background is Jason from Sierra College representing the JCs.
Hey, guys.
I will now turn it over to Brooke, and she will run through the program.
I'll start by showing my screen. And bear with me while I struggle with Zoom, as I'm learning as I go. So what I'm going to cover, and I will get there in a second, is what you can be doing during this time, which so much that you can do right now, you guys. So hopefully you all can see my screen. So this is what I'm going to cover with you guys today. And I'm going to kind of run through it quickly because I really want time for Q&A for the coaches at the end. But what we're finding right now is that what soccer experts are calling this is the separation season. And when we talked at Scouting Zone, we thought about, okay, how can we turn this word separate into something positive? And what I want you guys to think about online right now is how can you separate yourself from everybody else out there? So what we found is there's the doers and the waiters. And the waiters there's a lot of them, you guys. There's a lot of waiters that are soccer players just like you. And they figure, well, you know, we don't have a tournament coming up, so there's no reason to reach out to a college coach. And then there's the doers, and those are the ones that are continually reaching out to the college coaches. Those are the ones that are going to be a step when this all lifts and it's time for you to play again. So I want to cover some things that you guys can do that has been feedback from college coaches to us, to let you guys kind of know just like what will set you apart from the pack. So the first thing, and it doesn't have to go in weeks, okay? You can build this as quickly or as slowly as you want to, but think of building your college list as a foundation. So I played Division I college soccer myself. And when I played, it was good enough to show up on a field and be recruited at that point. In today's game, there's too many good players to expect that just because you play for a high-level team or you play or you think you're really good or whatever the case may be, that you're going to automatically be offered a roster spot or a scholarship. So really the ones that are taking time to put in the work are the ones that are drawing coaches to their sidelines. So now, more than ever, you probably have more downtime than you've ever had before. And here's what I call week one, but like I said, let's start it today. This is critical. It's your foundation. You can't build a house without a foundation. You have to build your top college list, okay? So if you don't have anybody that you have in mind, you're a player like me that just shows up and thinks, well, I'm going to show up on a field and be recruited. So let's take that a step further. You have a little bit more time on your hands. Take the time to consider these factors and build your top list. And I say start with a large funnel. So right now I'm dealing with a lot of players that I work with independently. I'm also a college director for a local program or a local club here in San Diego. And there's juniors and seniors, and they had only ever had like 5 schools that they ever considered. And those schools, they might be good enough to play for those schools, but their schools maybe already have enough of that position or whatever the case may be. And now they're looking at me like, what do I do now? So start with a very large funnel and consider these specific things. Financial aspects. Do you fit the academic requirements of that particular program? Social atmosphere. Do you want a big school or a large school? Division. You guys, there's so many divisions. Like I really, Division I is great. Okay. That's fine. There's so many other divisions and great opportunities to play. There's Division II, Division III, NAIA, and junior college, which are all incredible opportunities to play college soccer if that's what you want to do. So I really am inviting you to expand your horizons. And I love the high aspirations of every player that wants to pick Stanford and UNC and all the top programs in the country, but really think about things outside of soccer that tie you to that program. Okay, so quality of life, that's another thing that you should consider. But the number one thing that I want you to think about is, if you didn't play soccer at this particular school, that's very important. There's a lot of transfers. Coaches want to know that you are tied to that school for reasons outside of the soccer program. Heaven forbid you have a career-ending injury, or coaches transfer, which we saw so much of that happen last year. And the new coach coming in, you love the old coach, but you don't really love or drive with the new coach, and you're not playing enough. Do you really actually like attending that particular school? So the next slides I'm going to take you through will only matter if you've done your research and taking the time to identify during this time, when you have a moment to do so, to identify schools that might be, potential fits for you. You really have to make this your number one priority, because the next steps are going to be the follow-ups that actually are going to draw attention from college coaches. So number two, so everybody asks me, because I've been working with college coaches for 5 years, that's my core business. We partner with 65 plus recruiting events across the country, all major leagues included. And these players are like, well, it's just like, what is the magical window to walk through to get a college coach's attention? You guys, it's really not that complicated. It's down to the effectiveness of your email and the persistence in which you send it. And then I'll get into highlight video later. But let's just touch on emailing just for a little bit. So number one, you guys, you have to write an effective email. I'm not saying write 20 different emails. Pick your top 20. Don't write 20 different emails. You can have kind of a template. But if you're not speaking to that school as to why you actually want to play there, your email will likely end up in the junk. Man, they'll trash it, because college coaches do this for a living, and they know if you're doing a copy and paste template to every different school, and this is not scare tactics. I'm saying this to be brutally honest so that you know, and I'm helping you to be as effective as you can be in this process. You really have to say the why. Why do you want to play for this particular program? And that's you're going to have to do a little research on that, right? So when you're talking about, okay, well, here's my name, here's why I think I can be an impact player on your team, here's why I want to play for your program and be at your university. That needs to be individualized. They'll also notice if a parent writes an email, because it's very clear, you guys, you do not want your parents to be leading this process. Can they revise your email? Of course, but it needs to come from your own mouth. And it needs to be personalized. So, things that you can do right now, obviously you can't include your upcoming tournaments. Interested college majors is another thing that you can add. If you're interested in University of Hawaii, add, I'm interested in marine biology. They will automatically flag you as a player of interest, because they know they can go up against Stanford and UCLA and anybody else in the country, because you're tied now to that program in a way that ties you to the university, okay? So also GPA, you guys, you have to work as hard right now. So you have to think differently during this downtime. You're having to think about ways of keeping your fitness up. You're likely doing Zoom practices with your coaches. Everything has changed. You also have to think about how to change. So you have to really get engaged in this process right now. And the second step is, once you've identified your schools, then you have to email them, okay? Emailing really is the keys to the kingdom, because most coaches tell me, and they can correct me if I'm wrong at the end, but if they've heard enough from a player, they almost feel obligated to watch that player play. I hear so many times, Brooke, this player's emailed me 5 times before this event. Like, I have to make 5 or 10 minutes to go watch them play, because they want players as interested in that program as they are in you, okay? So create your top college list, and then email the colleges of interest and make sure that it is personalized to that specific university. Step 3, I think a highlight video at this point in time has never been more critical. So coaches can't come watch you play physically. So what you can do is create a great highlight video. And I think coaches are dying to see video at this point. But there's something to note about highlight videos. So again, coaches at the end, correct me if I'm wrong, in the first 30 seconds, they will decide whether or not they are interested or not interested in you. So make sure that you're packing your best and well, of course, across the entire video, but you're highlighting your best attributes at the very beginning. Keep it positive. A lot of this is very self-known. I don't really need to cover this in detail, but make it relevant to your position, make yourself visible. And that is probably the second thing that I would say. So if you're going to create your own highlight video, if you look at my little picture here, there's an arrow pointing to the player, right? As a college director myself of a club, I evaluate highlight videos constantly, and I sometimes spend 3 minutes trying to figure out who the player is on the field because I can't identify them. I don't know who they are. So if you're going to take the time to make one on your own, and there's lots of great tools out there that I can recommend, make sure that you're visible, that you're pointing an arrow or drawing a circle or doing something dynamic to show who you are so that they're not spending time figuring out who you are. Make sure also, if you're creating your own highlight video, that you send it to your college coach, or I'm sorry, your club coach to review, because a great highlight video is an incredible teaser. I've seen really, really good players put together not so good highlight videos, and it's almost a detriment to their recruiting because they didn't know how to effectively create a highlight video. And so that first 30 seconds, that teaser, that explosiveness, that power that you have as a player as it's shown dynamically in the first 30 seconds can almost be a detriment. So if you're going to create one on your own, as powerful as they can be, and make sure that you're sending it to somebody in your soccer world that is an expert that can say, okay, I think this is a great highlight video, or they can respond and say, hey, you know what, they can rearrange it for you, or they can say, hey, you have better clips than this. Refer back to your club coach. And I didn't include this in one of my slides, but your club coach is a great advocate for you right now. So when you're creating your top 20, refer that list to your club coach. They know you better as a player and a person than almost anybody else around. So they might add schools that you didn't think about, or eliminate schools that they don't think that are a good fit for you. Hopefully they're honest with you, or maybe you underestimated yourself and you can play at a higher level. So run that by your club coach. Run your highlight video by your club coach. Make sure that if you're creating one on your own, that you are displaying yourself, because like I said, you will grab their attention or lose it very quickly in a highlight video. And a really good one can be effective, and a not so good one can be a detriment, for a lack of a better word. And then also ask your club coach what you could be working on. What are the areas of developmental areas technically and tactically that you could be working on as a player, so that you can work on those things at home. So just to give a quick recap, because I ran through that pretty quickly, is what I've learned from this process that I didn't have when I was a Division I player was create your top list of schools. Be intentional about this process. You have time now. You can do it. Your time is there's still so much hope. College coaches are still needing to build out their classes. If anything I want is to ignite hope and spark in you to really get active in this process. And that's really going to depend on your ability to jump into it and to take initiative. You're student athletes. You know what it is to work hard. You have to put as much effort into the recruiting process as you do everything else that you do. Because like I said, you can't just show up anymore. You have to make yourself known. So who are the schools that you want to reach out to? Are they within your academic and soccer technical ability? Are they within reach of that? Email, 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 email. What I want them to feel is a burning in their brain that when this all lifts and a tournament occurs and they see your name again, and respond to the same thread, by the way. Let them see all that great information that you put above. And when a tournament comes again and they look up and they say, oh my God, that player's emailed me 4 or 5 times and now they're about ready to play either. That they have heard from you, they want to come watch you play. If you can create a highlight video, please do so. Another tip that I have is if you don't have a league that actually videos your games, go maybe to the last tournament that you participated in. Most tournaments have highlight video companies that they hire. See if you can find that highlight video or that videographer and reach out to them and say, do you have games from my previous games? Most coaches don't want to see your backyard drills. They want to see you playing against good opponents. And I'll let the college coaches speak to that. I think what they're telling me at this point is that anything within the last year is relevant because they know that you haven't been playing for a couple of months now. But you guys, I hope that you take this time to really take initiative in creating not just like the school and the soccer piece, but also piece, because there's never been a better time to reach out to a college coach. That I'm excited for you. I hope this ignites you. I hope this talk that you're going to have now with the college coaches invigorates you and teaches you along with what I've developed here. Lastly, a goal without a wish, or a goal without a plan is just a wish. So you, just like everything else you've done in your life, like you really have to make a plan for it. It can't just be haphazard. You have to set yourself aside. And right now is the best time to do that. You can really separate yourself from the pack that is still waiting, that doesn't think it's a good time to email college coaches. You can develop a plan and you can get into action now. And if you continue to be persistent and effective in your emails and hopefully creating a highlight video, those coaches will remember your name when the time comes to play. So with that, I'll open up.
All right, I'll take over from there. Thank you so much, Brooke. Some very valuable information. So jumping back to section 1 about creating top 20 college list, being realistic, both academically and athletically. I'd like to turn it over to Courtney to start and kind of get your opinion on, creating that top 20 list and just being realistic about where you think you can play and how that matches your academics.
Sure. I think the biggest thing I can share is that, number one, follow your heart. There is a place for every single one. And if I cannot preach this more, like everyone says, pick the school for school and make soccer that great added bonus. Career will be, it could be 4 years of amazingness or 1 year and you can never get to play again. So when you're picking schools, I think like the list she said, really consider environment, size, obviously the financial piece of it. Most importantly, does it have your major? What does it offer you post-graduation? Can this university help you after college, preparing you for life after college? And again, take the time to visit. Once you go visit, and when you step on the campus, you belong, you'll know. And then, go to the campuses, meet with the coaches, watch the teams play. Everyone pretty much, you can watch any team play. Hopefully we'll be playing in the fall. But you can watch us, any team online. Take the time to do that, especially if you're really interested. And go visit and watch a game. Those are very important. So hopefully that
Ron, I think you're muted.
All right, wasn't sure if we're a little bit muted, but why don't we just help and go to Paul. If Paul, maybe you want to add on building a top college list and looking into schools of your choice?
Yeah, I'll reiterate basically what Brooke and mentioned about just making a list of finding out what you're interested, what you're looking to study, big schools, small traditional campus. It comes down to, in the next 4 years there, and that's where you're going to live, and that's where you're going to go to school, and those are where you're going to make your college memories and your college lifelong friends and hopefully teammates. And another thing that Courtney said, which for me is, there is a school out there for everyone. You might need compromise here and there. Maybe you don't get to go to school in a certain city, or maybe you get around and you find the right school. Maybe you don't the exact major, but maybe not the top school for that major. Maybe it has a great program, undergrad program, and you can use that as a platform going off that. But playing college, I tell kids, all of our kids and kids that we all the time, please play college soccer. It's the greatest thing you can do, and there's a school out there for you.
Great point, Paul. Thank you very much. All right, real quick to Z, do you have anything for us on that?
To Courtney's mention of visiting the campus, I would say add to that, use your resources in terms of former teammates, club coaches, about the experience that you might receive. There's nothing truly that can surpass visiting the actual and getting a feel for the environment, for the environment, the classroom environment, the social environment. That firsthand experience will go a long, long way in terms of a decision making.
All right, fantastic. And then we'll last but for Gantt, little JC spin-offs.
You're muted, Jason.
Sorry, that's the JC paradox right there. So no, I think from JC standpoint is that obviously we're kind of the low cost leaders, and it tends to be like where you're locally living, like in your local community college, and there are certain places that are like have programs, and you can kind of move towards those places with dorms. And I really think that Brooke did a great job looking at right now is moving past the blame to moving towards opportunity and getting yourself out there. And the message out there is really great on emails and video. I thought that was a really good spin to just get your name out there and being visible that way.
All right, fantastic. And now we're gonna double jeopardy on you. We're coming right back at you with the second piece, which is the community. As far as emailing coaches, maybe a few do's and don'ts for all the kids out there based on emailing college coaches.
I thought Brooke hit it. I was formerly an assistant men's coach for Division I program, and so you would get a lot of prior to events. We get stuff a lot prior to events, and it'll have the coaches, it'll have Zlatan's name to Sierra College on the top of the thing, and you're like, okay, they just contacted Zlatan, and every other coach is just kind of a blanket thing. So it really lose feeling of they want to come to you when you have the wrong name or misspelled name or something like that. Just take the 2 extra seconds to make sure the name's spelled correctly and the school's spelled correctly, and make it personable. Like Brooke mentioned, is why are you interested in that school, and why should they take the time to come watch you?
Perfect. All right, Z.
Yeah, Brooke, think when you added the piece on why you are going to that particular school, why you are interested in pursuing the school, and then that's what I truly value. When that and it's personable and it says, hey, I'm interested in business, I'm interested in psychology, that's when I continue to read on. If it says, hey, I'm interested in kinesiology, stop.
Right.
You know, and because that shows me to Jay's point, you didn't take that extra 2 seconds to look at athletic website and go to the academic, what they have. The last piece I would say to that is in terms of email content, send in a clip, a video of what you're doing, how you're spending your day now. In addition to the video clip of you on your highlight video clip, send in a 2-minute video clip of you, I don't know, lifting up a sister and doing a little bit with her, and, you know, just to show kind of creativity, but showing that you're engaged throughout this current situation that we're in.
Okay, great. Mr. V.
Yeah, I'm basically going to say it's just send an email with purpose, know who your audience is, be professional at the same time. Maybe follow up with after a couple weeks go by. If that coach hasn't gotten back to you, follow up. We get a lot of emails, we get a lot of contacts, we get a lot of such, and it doesn't mean that they're not interested. Just like you guys with your texts and your emails, you don't get back to everyone in a prompt fashion. Maybe it's the same thing going on with the coaching staff.
And not to mention that you guys get thousands of emails daily. Pretty hard to filter through, I'm sure. Okay, Courtney, can we get your perspective on that?
Sure. One thing I'd add is once we get back to tournaments, besides making your email very direct and personable and simple, not too long, because we don't want to read pages of emails. Although we want to get to know you, we will slowly get to know you through the recruiting process. But once tournaments come back, be very specific and organized on, don't send us 5 different places to figure out what fields you're at, or say I'm jersey number 13, I'm on field 2 at 2 o'clock, and we're playing this team. Hope to see you there. Then so it's just easier. I don't have to go to 5 different links to figure out your number, where you're playing. So if you make those things simple for us, we really appreciate it, as we're probably looking at quite a few at a big tournament. You want us to take the time to get to your field, make it easy for us.
There's that mute again.
You're on mute, Betty.
I got it.
There it is.
Little technologically changed.
Highlight videos.
All right. Moving on to piece 3 is the highlight videos, and the importance of getting those together. Probably now more relevant than ever, getting those videos together. So, Courtney, we're going to start back off with you, and talk a little bit about videos and what you like to see as a coach. And also, Courtney, I'm going to put a little pressure on you. We had one little question come in: is what type of music should be played with the video or accompanying the video, or if any music at all?
I think music is definitely great. Music makes you happy. It pumps you up. I would definitely pick music that represents you. And obviously language, make sure you use a clean version of any song that you choose. But as far as highlight videos, you don't want to make them too long, but you want to definitely represent yourself. You can show game video, but also maybe throw in a piece of you doing about 30 seconds or a minute of you doing a workout by yourself, or your skill work, or some shots on goal. Just what you would say is your best highlight, what you bring to the field. So maybe your technical skills is amazing, so give us 30 seconds of you training on your own. That shows that you're willing to do the work. And then also game, obviously. I think it's critical to not put too long of a piece, but don't just show us you scoring a goal. How did you get to that? Did you break a line and beat someone and then score? Make sure you allow us a 5 to 7 second build up to that final result.
That's a Courtney, great point there at the end. Fantastic. Okay, Z, that's a tough one to beat. What do you got for us?
Yeah, well said, Courtney. The thing that I would add is create a clip where it showcases you in different game environments, different games, different showcases, maybe in a high school environment. Just the more variety that you can throw in there where you're being successful on all different showcases playing levels, that goes a long way too, because it just shows that you're adaptable and that you can adjust your game to any moment.
All right, fantastic on that. Mr. V.
I would add to that. Make sure. Actually, I shouldn't say make sure. We'd like to know who you're playing against and where it was, and at what level and at what competition, what showcase. That's always helpful. For us as a staff, it's super important. Video is really, really important, more now than ever. But most of our teams from all over the country, so we can't go to every corner and see you play 2-3 times. So a really good quality 2 to 3 minute highlight video is really, really great.
And I would just
in on that for a second.
put a little extra spin on that. What Paul just said, super, super important. You know, we realize a lot of West Coast kids, you know, want to stay on the West Coast, but there are a good number of players that want to go east. And, you know, your people from, you know, the Midwest, East Coast, they're not always going to be able to get to the events that you might be able to get to. So, Paul, that's a great point. Brooke, sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. I hear a lot from college coaches that, you know, they can tell if you are scoring 10 goals against a team that is an unworthy opponent. So, like, that is not a great clip to show. So if you're going to put together a highlight video, try to make sure that you are showing them that you are going up against opponents that are capable to take you on, and that you are beating them in tackles, that you're beating them in aggressive play, that you're scoring goals, that you're distributing balls against teams that meet your particular criteria, because you don't want to show a game. It sounds really good, right? So I scored 10 goals in a game. Well, a college coach knows, like, okay, you're just beating up on an opponent that is far lesser of an opponent than you. They really want to see you going head to head with the best competition that you have to show.
That's a great point as well. Maybe add in a goal or two, because we all like to see goals. But
yes, of course.
When it gets super repetitive and the defenders aren't doing much and you're running circles around them, it's just not realistic to the high levels that we're talking about at college soccer. Mr. Gantt, in closing up here on section 3.
I think the thing that maybe that wasn't mentioned is just showing different moments of the game. Like, if you're a striker, do you backtrack and defend? Do you show that in the video? I think a lot of coaches would say, hey, there's a striker that's going to work in the modern game, they have to defend. Showing whether maybe don't show it or show it if you're a player on a corner kick that's hanging out at the top of the box, not getting back and winning a ball in the air, but just kind of the muddier points of the game. Sometimes can you show a 10-second clip of that to kind of mix it up a little bit rather than you dancing on a ball? And then probably a no-no that I see a lot is somebody will beat a player and then they pass the ball to the other team. Maybe, like, we know when you beat a player and then you clipped it right there at the end and didn't show the pass getting connected or not. Maybe think about that choice of a clip, I think, too.
So, yeah, that's a great point. And I think safe to say that, you know, all the coaches are looking for information on the 4 pillars of the game, right? What the kids can do technically, what their movements are, you know, on attack and defense, and obviously transition moments. And then, you know, body language and facial expressions as far as the psychological piece goes, and then what your physical capabilities are. And that's, I think I can speak for everybody on the panel that's, you know, for the things that they're looking for for players. So point being, I was reviewing one of my players' videos a couple weeks ago, and an outside back, and just the tenaciousness of the 1v1 defending and the tackling. That's if someone's looking for an outside back, they want someone who can defend 1v1 and tackle like a truck. And I think that was a great video. Not connecting simple passes. You could probably do a couple of those, but those impact moments are what the coaches are looking for. Okay. What was that, Brooke?
Explosiveness. They want to see explosiveness. At the college game, that's what it's about.
Yep. And kids competing constantly, right? Everybody competing. All right, section 4. Jace, we're going to start off with you. As far as follow-up emails, and what your opinion, the role of maybe the club and the club DOC and the club coach should kind of play in the role to help guide the players rather than the players just being on their own all the time.
I think that's a great, just as a reaching out, because the club coach or the director, they see the player day in and day out. So they're going to be a huge resource to the college coach. So I recommend when players send them to CC the coach. Because at the JC, we're in the area, we're kind of like a club in the fact that we're trying to transfer kids to Zlatan or Paul or Courtney, those type of coaches after we get them for 2 years. And I always tell the players, CC me on the email so that I kind of know what you did. I'm not going to do it for you, but just keep them in the loop at what's going on. So I think that's a great idea. Does that work, Ron?
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Mr. V, what do you got for us?
Yeah, we've basically made our whole, the limited success that we've been having is come from our relationships with the club DOCs and the coaches out there all over the country. Just if they know that we took care of their player for those 4 years, they're more likely to give us good information on a kid going forward. And hopefully you're all enrolled in clubs that are looking out for your best interest and making sure that they're getting you enough exposure and they're getting in direct contact with these coaches of these schools that you're interested in. They're not just as we mentioned, that we don't have to have a copy and paste email. We hope never to receive a copy and paste email from a DOC or club coach about Kelly, and then they just erase Kelly's name and they put in Michelle, and it's, Michelle's a goalie and they're talking about her goal scoring ability. So that doesn't happen much, but always make sure that you follow up with the college coaches. That was the first part of it. The second you find out you're not interested in a school, honestly, I think sometimes recruits feel that they're going to upset us or they're going to let us down or we're going to be mad, or it's not that at all. It's at the end of the day, I think I will speak for, I think everyone wants everyone to find the right spot and be happy with their decision. And if it isn't at our school, that's fine. What's important is that you tell us. The last thing I know that I want to be doing is be calling and emailing, texting a player that's no longer interested.
Great point. All right. Zlatan, anything to add to that?
I would say, just to add to that, is when you're initially emailing the colleges, make sure that you include the head coach, the assistant coaches as well, because some programs will have a recruiting coordinator that is in charge of recruiting. So if you're just emailing the head coach and you're not getting a response, continue to be persistent, but make sure to include the assistant coaches as well.
All right, Courtney, last one on this piece.
I think, like everyone's saying, is be very honest in this process. We're going to be honest with you, and sometimes truth hurts, but it's better to find out if someone's interested or not interested on both ways. It's nothing personal. At the end of the day, we're trying to put the best 11 on the field to compete, just like you're trying to find the best fit for yourself. So be honest with the coaches, and also, use everyone in your club. We have great relationships with all your coaches, and if we're out recruiting and we happen to swing by and say hi to your coach and they know that one of their players is interested in our school, then that's a great conversation that we can have just real quick as we're just saying hi. So those relationships are really important, and always use your support. That's why we're all here for you.
All right, fantastic. Sorry about the background noise. It looks like everybody in my neighborhood felt like it was a good idea to start mowing lawns at 7:45. I'll try to ask questions here and then mute myself out. Okay, so question number one, and we'll start with Mr. Gantt. From an anonymous attendee, what positions do you look for the most and the least?
Everybody kind of gears in. From a junior college standpoint, I need to look for the best players that I could possibly see. Obviously, as your years go by, you have certain players that you already have, so you're going to look for the positions that you need. So it becomes like a need-based situation a lot of it. If you need a goalkeeper, you're going out to the field looking for a goalkeeper pretty much to find somebody. But you're also looking at players. I think I played Division I soccer, and I played a different position as a youth player than I did in college. You're looking for quality and a lot of different things. Maybe they're a striker for their club team, but you see something in them that maybe they could be playing someplace else for you. I think everybody kind of gravitates towards the goal scorer. So it is important to kind of look out there. I think it depends on the coach and the style of play that they want to kind of play. They're going to look for those style of players. So if they play with their outside backs getting forward, you're going to look for an outside back. That's personally, I look for backs and center midfielders quite a bit, and center backs because they're hard to find, but everybody wants a goal scorer.
That's so true. I actually, my entire career as a youth, I played for San Diego Surf growing up, and I was always an outside midfielder. And I ended up as a center striker in college because they found that was a position that I could fill. So don't be stuck in the position that you play. It's important if that's what you play and where you feel most comfortable, but if you can show versatility and can be movable, a coach will see that in you and will find a spot for you.
Yep, totally. Great point. All right, moving on. So we've got a lot of questions here, so I'm going to try and go through here as effectively and efficiently as possible. So I will just pick one person out, one of the panelists per question. I'm going to respond to this one real quick, just personally. Is there a specific order as to which positions or schools are recruiting first? For example, is the front line a high priority, then defensive positions? And obviously the answer is no. It comes down to whatever the specific school's needs are at that time for that class. Okay, moving on to Mr. V. You're getting a little sleepy there, man. You need some coffee. All right. So outside of the current lockdown status, how would you rank the importance of the various ways to be seen as far as writing to schools, highlight videos, et cetera, again, during this lockdown state?
I think Brooke alluded to this earlier. This is actually a really great opportunity with all this downtime that some of these kids have. If you think about it, it's not as if this is just a regional phenomenon. This is happening all over the country. So it's not as if the Southeast is having all these tournaments and all the college coaches are going down there and they're recruiting all these kids and you're losing your spot. This is happening all over the country. Nobody's playing. And I think everyone's on even level. So what's going to separate you from the other recruits of potential student athletes is, are you getting your name out there? Are you letting coaches and coaching staffs know of your genuine interest? And maybe they weren't even going to see you at a showcase, but now all of a sudden you wrote an articulate email and you put it together and it's really well written, and you followed up with another one, and you're starting a relationship throughout the recruiting process. And I think that followed up with the other means of recruiting, whether it's a video or letting them know where you play, when we do get playing again, where are you playing, and just a purpose behind your message to the coaches.
All right, perfect. That's fantastic. All right, let me see. I got a real tough one here, and I think I will pick Z. You ready for this tough one? Coming from a well-respected, retired director of coaching down from Pleasanton. How about
what's my favorite color?
With your favorite color, orange. So what? But you know what? Great question from a veteran. What questions should players not ask?
Ooh, that's a good one. Is that Philippe?
That had to be Philippe.
Hey, Courtney, you're
Yeah.
on deck. You're on deck here in case Zlatan needs a little bit of help. Okay.
We love you, Philippe.
All right, go ahead, Z.
I would say a big no-no for me is if you open up the conversation, the relationship with what's your financial situation like, how much scholarship money do you have available for me at this moment before the actual relationship even begins. I would say that's a really, really big no-no, because it then speaks to what your why is, but it also goes back into you getting to know the coach, getting to know the environment, getting to know the school before you get into that question, which at the end of the day is an important question and important discussion to have, but doing it at the front end of the relationship, just don't do it.
Roland's doing it again.
I thought that was a really good point.
Courtney, anything to add on to that? Hey, I'm trying to protect everybody from the lawnmowers. Right. Go ahead, Courtney.
Best time of day.
For me, I think when we're just getting to know you and you're asking me opinions about our opponents in our conference, I think those are definitely not the best questions, because obviously I'm not going to say anything negative, but obviously we want to compete and win. So you're putting us as coaches in awkward positions. It's great to know you're looking at maybe our SCIAC schools. That's totally fine. But asking about their coaches or anything about their team, I definitely think is a no-no. Do your research. That's what I would tell you. Do your research. And then as it gets deeper in the relationship, then maybe you can say, hey, I'm also interested in this. And also comparing our schools financially, and they're offering me this, what can you offer me? Like you said, that is Division III, we cannot offer any athletic money. It's all academics. So at the end of the day, it goes back to you and what is your best fit. Because like all the coaches say, we want you to love where you go. I tell my players all the time, you gotta love the name you wear across your chest, because you are gonna go through so much mentally, physically, emotionally, socially for that name that you gotta love it.
All right, great point. The next one was an anonymous one that said, my daughter is in the 7th grade. When should I begin contacting college coaches? And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to hit this one first. I deal with all of you guys on a regular basis, but ever since the NCAA rule changes, a few years back, the female college recruiting timeline has changed tremendously, where we used to be, committing, high level freshmen and sophomores, due to the lack of restrictions. And, ever since the NCAA has come up with the June 15th timeline of your junior year, I believe, I think it's really slowed things down and given the kids more of an opportunity to look at schools and not feel pressure to make decisions and things like that. But, for me, I think, starting probably a good idea, starting in the freshman year, just to lay a groundwork and, start getting kind of in the habit of, putting emails out. And by the time you enter your sophomore year, you should be, kicking it into drive a little bit and sending your schedules and things like that. So, Paul, how about if I ask you to kind of get on top of that one?
Sure. I guess you can go as early as you want, but it's a moot point. It's I'm focusing on sophomores and juniors as we speak, so I would entertain an email and file it and respond and whatnot. But the actuality of you sending an email too early, also kind of puts up not a flag, but just you must be sending it out to a bunch of schools at that time. And we love the fact that you're taking the process seriously, but you could be a totally different player in a year or two when you're 13, 14 years old. The difference between a 13, 14-year-old and a 15, 16-year-old is very, very different, both physically and just the way they're playing. And they may change. You may change as a recruit. You may change the type of school that you are interested in a year or two, as opposed to when you were 13, 14 years old.
Fantastic. Let me get to my next one. Oh, this is always a hot topic, and I'm going to put a little spin on this for you guys. So, ID camps. I've got my own opinions. I will not kind of share those, but maybe get some opinions from you guys on the importance of ID camps. And let's throw a little spin on that and say, while everyone, you want your camps to fill up and people to come and get in front of you, do you think there's also an importance of going to camps that have multiple coaches to maximize the consumer's dollar, so to speak? And I'll start that off with Big Z, getting you all the tough ones today.
Hey, that's all good. My favorite color is blue, by the way. We didn't get to that earlier, but I believe ID camps are important. I believe if you're going to go to a school, you got to go check out an ID camp, but it's important that you're invited to the ID camp and that you've had a prior relationship with that institution, with that coach, so that you're going there as part of the recruiting process. To your second question of how important is it to kind of maximize the dollar and have other universities present, I think that's really important. I would find out who they're sending to that ID camp, though. I think that would be something really important, just so that you're able to see who's in front of you, so that you can maybe start doing a little bit more research as to who the coach is. Like if it's a goalkeeping coach that's at that ID camp and it's somebody that you're really interested in, but you're a field player, maybe take that opportunity, still go to that ID camp, introduce yourself to that coach and make them aware that you're interested. But again, that might not be the best option for you. But at the end of the day, ID camps are an awesome opportunity for you to build a relationship with the coach, with the school, and just to see if you guys can work together. I always use it as an opportunity to coach the players that are in my group, coach the players that are all attending the camp, and see whether or not it is a relationship I want to continue developing, and just to see if it'll be a working relationship, period.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. Hey, Jason, just from the JC perspective right now, given the situation, what's are you seeing an increase in admissions over the last month, given the pandemic that's going on? Can you share anything in regards to that?
Yeah, I think we're seeing there's a lot of nobody knows what's going on, right? And so we're getting a lot more bounce backs from schools that were possibly away just due to finances. Like looking at it, I mean, we're in a global pandemic. So financially, there's a lot of people maybe trying to choose whether they go to a school, unknowns with online classes and what's going on for the fall. So we have seen an increase of the amount of student wanting to come. We've pushed our registration dates back. And I think the chancellor, the CSUs and the UCs came out and said they're predicting a 20% reduction in enrollment in the fall at those schools. So I do think that I'm not a pro at any means, but we are seeing an increase in that. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so another question is, and I'll try to hit this one first real quick, the importance of goalkeepers sending video, and I think I can speak for everybody on the panel. You get to showcase, and if your team is dominant and you're sitting back there and not getting too much action, you need to make sure, if you're on a really super good team and you're not getting action, that You know, training videos are probably very important for goalkeepers, and making sure they're seeing repetitions and quickness and agility and, you know, shot blocking and dealing with crosses and all those types of things. So I'll ask Courtney your opinion on what you need to see out of goalkeeping clips.
So for us, we ask our goalkeeper to be a field player too. So not only are we asking you to be able to hold the ball, in college you cannot drop the ball. You cannot give up rebounds. So we're looking for you to be able to hold the ball, but also be able to use your feet, because we are going to be asking you to step out of the goal, to be that another field player for us. In the fact that we can't go forward, we're going to try to maintain possession and use you to help us build back out of the back. On top of that, you are a leader in the back. You see everything. So vocally, your communication is key. So if I'm coming to watch you and maybe you're not getting action, first I'm probably going to watch you warm up. But if you're not getting action, how are you still involved? Your involvement is critical whether you're touching the ball or not. Are you coming off your line? Are you involved with your feet? Are you talking? Are you directing? So there's a lot that we look for in a goalkeeper.
Can I add to that a little bit?
Yes.
So I've talked to a lot of coaches about goalkeeping because it's a very specific position. And one of the first things that I asked that just shocked me was when I asked them their top 5 of what they look for in a goalkeeper, shot stopping was the last on their list. Because at the college level, every goalkeeper is expected to be able to stop a shot. So I was dumbfounded. I really was. I was like, oh God, like that's all there is. Their number 1 and 2 things were not the ability to stop a shot. That is an expected thing that you are able to do as a collegiate athlete. More than that, to what Courtney said, you have to be a leader out of the back. You have to be able to play almost like a position field, almost like you're part of the defense. You have to be able to distribute the ball. You have to be able to be a leader. You have to see things that people can't see so that you can direct them. And that was one of the most open, because I was never a goalkeeper, I was a striker. That was so eye-opening to me that it, like, an expectation is that you can stop a shot. So if you're sending clips, video clips, of you just stopping shots coming at you, I don't know that that's going to impress a coach. They're expecting you to do that. There's so much more to goalkeeping than just that. And it really plays off of what Courtney just said. And I wanted to re-emphasize that because I work with goalkeepers and I just don't understand that there's so much more to the college game in goalkeeping than what they think is expected out of them.
Great point. Great point. And I was actually, just thinking the same thing. It's so much more about off the ball, it's presence and staying connected with your back line and organization, especially in games where you're dominating.
Yeah.
Are you going to sit back there with your hands on your hips, or are you going to stay actively involved in the game? Okay, moving on here. Oh, I love this one. We hear a lot about what not to do as a parent. At what point do we have involvement with the recruiting process? I really want to answer this, but I'm going to put it back on to Courtney.
So I think there's two
You can't pass. You can't pass, Courtney, when I call you out. You can't pass.
I won't pass on this one. So I think there's 2 parts of this. I think that we as parents have to let our children fly a little bit, because at the end of the day, this is a place they're going to be for 4 years, and without us. So I think it's critical that they do the legwork. But I don't mind if parents come in, if I'm having a conversation with a recruit, because sometimes the recruit doesn't necessarily hear everything that I'm trying to say, and they might interpret it in a different way, whereas an adult will see where most likely I'm coming from. So as a very honest coach, in those meetings, I don't mind parents being, but all the contact building up to that moment must be between the player and myself. But again, I don't mind having a relationship, how you doing with a parent. But at the end of the day, my relationship will build with that recruit as we go through that process.
All right, fantastic. Great answer. Very, very politically correct, Courtney. Good job. All right, moving on. Let me see here. We'll go to Mr. Z. So, is there a maximum roster size? And I know you know a lot of schools around the country, but can you give us kind of a roundabout, not about your school in particular, but in a roundabout numbers, roster size wise?
I'm here to talk only about Menlo, okay? So I don't know where you're going with this. Yeah, it depends on sometimes it depends on the coach. Sometimes it depends on the institution. And then there's roster limitations, NCAA as well. So it really depends. I think that is a great question to ask the college coach throughout the recruiting process is, hey, what's the maximum roster that you want to carry? How many recruits have you signed already? What's the sophomore recruiting class look like? Junior recruiting class look like? So that you have a realistic idea of your chances of earning a spot on that roster. But, in short, it varies across all programs.
Fantastic. Okay. All right, Jay. I always got some good ones stocked up for you. You ready?
Yep.
All right. This one holds very true to my heart. Is a team's ranking on Gantt Soccer really, really important? And what is your opinion about team/club that pump up their Gantt Soccer points by trying to play tournaments every weekend? Does that help them in the recruiting process?
I wouldn't say it would help you by any means. I think that college coaches are looking for players, and the team that you're on, obviously, if you're playing at a tournament where you can be seen from them, it's going to be very beneficial to you if you're going to a top tournament to go play. But if you're just playing games to play games, that turns into watered down soccer because you're tired and you're getting all random. The team's just doing that. Like, think about your goals. I think if that's the coach's goal to win a national championship, that doesn't really exist. I in my personal opinion, it doesn't help you or hurt you in the recruiting process. At the end of the day, if you can play, you can play. And being in front of those coaches and creating a relationship with the coaches is first and foremost with your recruiting path. It's getting in front of the right coaches at the right time. I mean, I can do a bunch of work, but the right work is what I need to do. So I think that's to get a job done. So I think that's where you need to look at is, are you playing at the right places to see them? And just because you're on an elite team, there might be a player on a lesser power or Gantt Soccer ranked team that's a higher quality. They're out there. So I don't think that should be the end all of everything.
Well, I think that the ranking system can give you a decent idea of kind of the strength of some teams. It's definitely not the end all be all. I mean, you could be a real top team and get into all the events and place last in those top events, but you still deserve to be there. And your Gantt Soccer ranking points might be down in the hundreds. So at the end of the day, I don't think that really has too much to do with that. Z, do you have a special guest over there?
Yeah, my mom was gonna come in and add to the Gantt Soccer, saying, for me,
That's amazing. I love her.
Hey, you tell your mom she's the next guest on Two Shiny Domes, okay?
She's watching in the next room, huh?
She's gonna bring over some Bosnian food.
You had me at hello.
Yep.
All right, sounds good. Okay, let me get to the next question here. We've got 20 minutes to go, and we've got about 20 questions, so we'll probably hit about 10. All right, let's move on to Mr. V from Boston. What is the best thing to include in a follow-up email after a college coach has watched you at an event?
Usually the ones they come up of my play, love to get some feedback. Do you think I would fit for your program? Where do you see me playing on the field? Asking open-ended questions is really good because it keeps the conversation going rather than just, obviously, thanks for coming to my game. It's always a great thing. It shows that you appreciate that the coach and the coaching staff took the time to go watch you. But then the follow-up with the open-ended questions is always key.
Is that from Keely Hunt? Placer represented in the house?
You're muted, Ron.
I don't know anything about that. I work for NorCal Premier. You know what though? Great, really good question. Because we encourage all of our players. Like Brooke said earlier, you got to get your name out there and you got to follow up. You can't send an email and then not follow up, right? And that's just things that kids need to learn. Just in normal life is you got to have and not just expect things to happen. The recruiting process is a grind, right? It's a grind for the players. It's a grind for the coaches. And you just got to be very, very persistent. Those college coaches to death.
Bug them.
Yep.
They're not bothered. They are flattered. They want people as interested in their program as they are.
Yep, absolutely. So, fantastic.
I hear that all the time. Am I bothering a college coach? I mean, maybe a little bit, but at the end of the day, they'll make time to watch you put in the effort. So consider recruiting another piece of the puzzle. You got school, you got soccer. Now, if you want to play at the next level, recruiting is the next piece of the puzzle. You absolutely have to work at. And if you do the work, there's a spot for you. Whether it's JC, Division I, and anything in between, there's a spot for you.
All right, fantastic. Courtney, got a tough one for you. How or your recommendations on players that are coming from maybe smaller clubs or remote clubs? What are your recommendations on how those types of players get found, and how do they put themselves in that right environment to be seen?
So just a side note, one of our All-Americans came from a very, very small place in Illinois. So it is all, but I would recommend if you want to be seen, guest play for someone. So say maybe you're coming from a smaller club or an area that they're not maybe making it to a Surf Cup or one of the bigger tournaments that a lot of coaches will be at. I always recommend guest play. Obviously it's not going to be your comfort zone, but that's what college is about. You're coming in knowing nobody, and you have to show who you are in an environment you don't have the comfort of knowing the way they play. That's when we can truly see what type of player you are. And obviously we take in consideration you are guessing and on a team. But don't let anything hold you back. Find ways, whatever you can, and guess. Go, go to ID clinics, to the places that you need to be. There are ways to do it. It's just going to take more work than people that are maybe in your area.
Okay, great. Perfect. A nice question that just came in, and it's one that unfortunately, all of us as coaches have to deal with. I don't want to say frequently, but it does happen. If you are, looking into certain schools and you have a knee injury, torn ACL, that should be disclosed while you're in the recruiting process, especially if you're a younger player, right? I think for an older player, maybe a senior, you're still trying to get recruited. That's probably something they need to know right away. But what are your tips on kids that have knee injuries because they don't want to be, tagged as fragile not being able to recover. So I will on to my good friend from Red Country.
We used to make not that it's a fun, but some of our best players were kids who were going to go to really, really big programs, and unfortunately they fell, and they no longer had that as an option, and they came and played for us, and they had careers for us. As far as telling coaches, I think it starts the whole relationship off on a good foot when you can say, hey, listen, this is what happened to me. I'm 15 years old. I'm 16 years old. I'm 17 years old. This is what happened. Let us know how the rehab's going, when your surgery date was. Then, once it's out there, it's out there. And you'll feel better letting the coach know, and they'll appreciate your honesty and your candor going forward. It just, like I said, it starts the relationship off on a really good foot. And once you get on campus, depending what the timetable is, or if you're already 2 years removed from the injury, and it's an afterthought because you're playing for 2 years, so be it. But I always think it's a great idea to divulge.
And if I could add to that, I would say, when you do disclose that information, if you let the college coach know, hey, this is what I'm doing right now in order to come back even stronger. And maybe on the back end of it, say something along the lines of something in a reflection piece of, this is what I've learned through being injured, because I've been injured before, and it makes me truly grateful to be healthy. And then when I came back from that injury, I was excited to get back to playing.
Ron, can I in there for a second on that one too?
Absolutely not.
I just want to reiterate that that's your journey. So if you did have a knee injury and that happened to you, journey of trying to play. So don't be afraid of people telling you no. I think part of why every single one of these coaches are in the room here, or we all have been in the game, somebody's told you no at some stage. If your fear is that your truth and what you are in and your journey is not for them, then at least and there's some sort of trust there. So I think that honesty is usually and almost always the best policy.
All right, great point, Jay. Don't ever interrupt me again. Just kidding, Jay. Just kidding. All right, we got a couple questions are starting to pour in here. We've got about 11 minutes to go. This is a really, really critical one for me, which I'm sure that I don't ask any of the panelists, and is, what should the title of the email be? And I would say that probably 90% of the emails that the college coaches get, it says Andrew Jones, 2020 midfielder, Mickey Mouse United, right? So you guys see the same emails over and over again. So a catchy heading is really key. And I had a kid years ago, actually about 3 years ago, that was amazing at the creativity in the emails and what her headings were. And the headings were great, but the body of the emails were even better because it's eye-catching and it's interesting, and not reading the same email over. And so I'm sure all you guys can agree with me on that, be a little bit creative and be a little bit eye-popping. Okay, let's move on to Courtney. I got one for you. Do coaches like it when players play multiple sports? I'm going to add on to this, and I'm going to say, do coaches like it when players play multiple sports in high school / next level college? How hard is it to play multiple sports at the next level?
I believe, obviously, depending on what level or what division you're playing in, to be a two-sport athlete in college is very difficult. It takes a very special person. I do currently had a player that ran track. The hard thing is that you do miss out on like our off seasons. You'll miss out on the soccer piece. So that is something that you have to take into consideration and see the opinion of the coach. I think playing multiple sports is great. I think it's great for your body, great in the wear and tear. You're not just playing soccer. At the college level, I think it would be very difficult to choose sports and being fully committed, both of them, the time and different strength and conditioning that you'll be doing, it becomes very hard.
Okay, great. Great and tough. I think cross is very, very important to develop the full athlete. But I think one side that soccer is your gig, and that's what you're for your collegiate years. You should probably begin to kind of be specific on what your goals are. And if your goals is to become a college soccer player, then it would make sense that you're playing as much soccer as you possibly can. All right, I've got a couple more here. This is a tough one. Which tournaments do you recommend for maximum exposure? And that is first and foremost, NorCal Premier's collegiate showcases are a number one. But what West Coast events do you feel are the most beneficial California players? And I'm going to move to Z.
Lost him.
Did we lose?
Yeah.
Do we have him back?
Dinner's ready.
Yep, he cut out on dinner. We'll go to Jason Gantt on this because he's been around the block many times. Sorry, Z, you just got cut from the question.
Drop it back at Z. He needs this one.
Yeah, is he back? All right, Z.
I'm back.
Did you hear my question?
Was it something along tournaments and showcases and which ones you should attend?
Yes, and just to reiterate what I was, aside from the number one event, which is the NPL NorCal Showcases, what do you recommend for best visibility?
I think you're going to the showcases that provide the toughest competitions. I think that is the best environment that we can see you play in. But I would also go back to, if you're doing your research for the school, you have to understand what cases the school is going to attend. So if you're really interested in Chapman, if you're really interested in Sierra College and Lesley College and Menlo College, and we all go to Surf Cup, you should probably go to Surf Cup. But more importantly, if we all go to the NorCal MPL Showcase, you should go there as well. If you're going to a showcase that the school that you're interested is not attending, then maybe you're looking at finding a guest spot with another team that's actually going to the showcase that the school will be recruiting at. So it depends in that sense. But to my earlier point, try to get your team to the highest level of competition possible.
Fantastic. I'll first come, first serve for just a little backup on that one, then I got to move on. Anyone? Okay. All right. We're moving on. Moving on to the next question here. Oh, it's a good one. Would you recommend playing high school soccer? I'm going to move this over. As everyone knows, the Development Academy is kind of closed up shop, and now all players are able to play high soccer and not have those restrictions. So, Jason, question to you: do you recommend playing high school soccer in the winter, and does that hurt your soccer playing ability?
No, I think the high school game bring leadership qualities in you. If you are a very good soccer player as a leader, maybe you're forced to play a different position. Maybe you're playing up top when you normally play in the back, and you can work on your attacking moves. You can work on different aspects of the game. Maybe on your club team, you're not really like relied on to be a person. In your high school, you are. So the psychological aspect of it outweighs maybe some ideas that maybe it's a lesser standard of soccer, and the fact that you're part of your community, you're representing your school and your community, and you're taking over a place of a different role than you normally would. So I'm a big high school thing.
Kids to get out of the the grind of a 10-month season, right?
Yeah.
It
breaks up the season.
Yep.
It gives you a different, every coach that you have is going to be good or bad. But you can always pick something up from those individuals maybe you wouldn't have gotten from somebody else, the club soccer or whatever. And I think it's a good opportunity.
I would just add one more little piece on that. And again, I think that that high school soccer has got its value. You also have to be realistic when you're playing in high school situations where it's your club situation where you're getting absolutely tested, every minute of every single game. But again, I do think there's a lot of, outside of soccer, just like you said, you could be the 15th player on your club team, but you are the number one player on your high school team. So it develops a whole different piece of one of those four pillars of the game, right? Yep. Okay. Let me see here. I got a question here. How can a player get in the NPL showcase in Northern California? Daughters had to go to a new team that is not an NPL champion team and had to play down because, okay, blah, blah, blah. I probably should have read that before I read it out loud, but we'll attack it anyways. Clubs and the teams that have gotten for a reason based on club standards, quality of teams, the education of their coaching staff, and all of those things. So, if you want to be in that environment, you can't guest play. There's no guest playing in the NPL. You have to be a part of that setup in order to be in an NPL league and participate in the NPL showcases. And, not to knock any other clubs or situations, that is just the rule that we have at NorCal. In order to be seen and to play in those competitions, you have to be a part of an NPL club. All right, we've got time for one question, and I'm going to end this up with Mr. V so we can put him to bed.
Thanks.
So we kind of hit this a little bit before, but just I think this is a good closing one because it's something that needs to be at what grade level should the female athletes be contacting the coaches via email?
As I said earlier, it comes down to what they're comfortable with. You're a very different person when you're in 8th grade than you are a sophomore year in high school. You look at things differently. You have different aspirations, different goals, different objectives for yourself as an individual. Nothing saying that you shouldn't start the process off the earlier the better. I feel because you can go make visits and see schools and find out, you know what, I don't like this school. Take them off your list, go on to the next one on your list. I would say if you're looking for a specific grade, I would certainly sophomore year, but even freshman year is fine to start the process and start to see who's interested in you and who you're interested in. But certainly sophomore year followed by the junior year.
Can I add to that just a little bit? Because I hear, like I said before, from seniors and juniors who only reached out or thought of 5 schools their entire career. Start their funnel big, which is what I started with in my talk, which is creating like a very diverse list of schools that you think you might be interested in. You are going to be disappointed in the end because you're limiting yourself to the specific. The earlier you start, the better. Now, then I got that about the 7th grade player, and it melted my heart. At 7th grade, enjoy the game, love it, like be good at it, have fun. You don't need to be emailing college coaches in 7th grade. Like, develop your skills, develop your awareness, watch the game, study the game, be better at the game, and just enjoy the play. But I think as a freshman, they can't respond to you. Like you said before, Ron, June 15th, that 4 years when they can respond to you. But they are getting your emails. They're getting your emails, keeping them. They know that you've responded multiple times, the same thread, hopefully. And they'll remember you when it's time. They get 100 hundreds of emails before a showcase because you took the time now, freshman, and then you become a sophomore, and then they're thinking, okay, now I got to recruit for this class. Or here's this kid again. She's emailed me, or he's emailed me 6 different times that earn your name in their heads, and they'll remember you. So while I think it's amazing that you're asking as a 7th grader, I would say 7th and 8th graders, just enjoy your life and enhance your game and love for the sport, and start as a freshman. Even for boys, I mean, and boys, I think the recruitment starts later, maybe junior, where, the girls are looked at a little bit earlier. Get your names in their head. Like, this is a game of persistency. Like, make yourself known. Get out there to these coaches. Tell them the why. If you give them enough attention, you can put together enough of a concise email that is not a copy and paste, but a true email about why you want to play for their program. They will make the time to watch you play.
No point. All right, we're just to see. I think I have one more. Oh, I think I've hit them all. Okay, so I've just what we're gonna do one quick putting word from each one of the college coach panelists, and I'm going to go first. Just one quick thing that I wrote down, which I think is important, and I said this right at the beginning, is, for all you players out there, this is your job. Your job is to market yourself. Your job is to get your name out there. It's not your parents' job. And I've seen a lot of parents take the reins and do all the emails. I've seen parents, emailing at 11:30 morning on a Sunday, when I know it's your responsibility to get your emails out, and you are keep your coaches and DOCs in the loop, and request from them, beg from them that they help you through the process. But again, at the end of the day, it comes down to you as an individual and how to get yourself committed to a school. Those are the players that the college coaches want, the ones that are determined and driven and know that you want to play at the next level. And because again, it's not your parents that are playing at the next level, it's you. So take ownership of what you're doing in the collegiate process, and make sure that your DOCs and your club coaches are helping you out. So parting words, we'll start off with Mr. V and get you to bed.
Sweet.
Parting words.
Be short and sweet. There is a school out there for you. Play college soccer.
Excellent, Paul. All right, we'll go to Z, or did Z?
I think you might jump. I don't know. Kind of looks that way.
All right, thank you, awesome. Let's go to Jay Gantt.
I guess this is such a difficult time for everybody. I just want to reiterate that the quicker you move to the opportunity and use it as a good time to get those emails out there, make that highlight video, because we have time right now. I mean, there's time and opportunity. Get past the idea that how could this be, because everybody's going through it. And then I think my final thing, this is longer than a quick word, but do your homework on things like we're just experiencing change so quickly do your homework on the schools that you're reaching out to. Understand the roster sizes. Ask questions about how many players, what the attrition rate is, how many players leave after 1 or 2 years. Those are good questions. And I think those are questions that you should ask and be given an honest answer to.
Okay, fantastic. Courtney, we're going to end with you.
Ladies, this is a great time for you to understand the game more. Take time to watch film, watch players, understand each role, that each position. What's a 6? What is their essential role? What's an 8? What's a 10? Good women's soccer players can read the game. So I highly recommend that you guys take this time to learn to better. Injuries allow you to read games when you're sitting out. But now that we're all sitting out, to be a better soccer player, be a student of the game, always be a student of the game. I wish you all continued success on and off the field. Get it done in the classroom, that's important. And enjoy this journey, because you're never going to stay super positive. We're all in here and here for you.
Courtney, that's fantastic. Fantastic close there. And finally, watch games. Watch college games of all the different levels. Be realistic about your ability. We still want you to have those big dreams, but you got to be realistic about where you think you can play, so you're not generating too much time and energy into a situation that may not be able to athletically. And then last but not least, on behalf of NorCal Premier, Andrew Jones and myself and the rest of the staff, we appreciate everybody jumping on. And please, NorCal, we're abiding by all the rules and regulations of the state and federal governments on what's happening, but rest assured that we are all working very hard to get everybody back on the field as soon as we can. So just be patient, and don't think that is not working on this every single day. We appreciate everybody very much. Brooke from Scouting Zone and all of our, that was a very, very big time webinar. And again, we will be back with the boys tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. And for all of you NorCal junkies, 2 Shiny Domes will be back in action within the next couple of weeks with our spring episode, and there's lots to talk. So we'll send out the links, and please be active with all of our social media outlets, because great time to talk soccer. Everyone's got a little bit of extra time on their hands. So again, thank you very much from NorCal Premier. And everybody have a great night and stay safe.
Thank you. Well done. Love NorCal.